Hey everybody, good afternoon. According to the camera, I'm live. Let's see, folks. I'm going to do as always here. I got the microphone going. I'm going to do as always. We're going to kick things off, and what we'll do is, let's see. Let me go to our main page and do a little bit of intro when you guys are coming into the room. Let's see here. And welcome to the room as you guys that are strolling in here. Let's see, folks. I'm trying to find, there it is, the live feed, so I can keep up with you guys. Hopefully, the live chat. Yes, finally. All right, guys. I think I got everything set up right tonight. It appears to me that I will have full access to be able to do the podcast and to be able to hang out with you guys live. How long that lasts remains to be seen, because it seems like every time I try to start that, it doesn't work and doesn't hold. So let's see what it does. I'm going to go ahead and officially open the room up, or open the show up on the podcast. It's a little bit different type of situation. It's the format's a little bit different, so I got to officially kick that off. So here we go. Okay. Hey guys, welcome to Legally Armed America. Those of you that are on the podcast are joining our live stream on YouTube Live. This is, of course, on the podcast, the High Capacity Podcast, where I bring you a what I like to call a vulgar display of common sense. We're going to be doing some cool stuff tonight for those of you that are on the podcast, because you guys have never hung out with us on our live stream before, where our live stream audience has always hung out with us on the live stream before. So it's going to be pretty cool. As I like to always do, I will do some roll call for some of the people. Mr. FNH, first one in the room. Hey, how's it going, man? Roger Kaiser is in here. Big Mo, Hugh Annan, Zach Briggs, Shark Chucker, Richard Portella, Ashley LeCompte, Gulf City Freedom, Willie Dick, and it looks like that's it so far that I see in the room. And I see we've got more folks coming in here right now. For those of you that are on the podcast, you can always catch us. Look, my times are very inconsistent, just like they are tonight. I'm inconsistent again because my wife is going to another concert tonight. You guys are probably thinking, man, your wife parties all the time and you never do anything. Man, I'd rather do gun stuff. I'm not, you know... It's got to be a concert that I really, really want to go to, because I'm not one to just to go. I can drink my beers here and not have to go spend a fortune for them somewhere else. And sometimes my wife needs a getaway a little bit more than I do. Don't judge me. I'm not that bad. But anyway, guys, on the podcast, we typically like to do this at 7 p.m., or I like to do it at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on Friday nights. Doing it an hour early tonight because when my wife leaves, I don't want to leave my son unattended. I want to make sure that he's taken care of. So good to see everybody that's in the room, and thank you for all of you that are listening to the podcast. For those of you that listen to the podcast on Friday nights, if you do want to tune in, just simply go to YouTube and search for Legally Armed America. Guys, first thing I want to talk about is going to be a little bit self-serving, and it's going to be, I'm really poking fun more than anything. But earlier I was on a Facebook, a thread, I guess. I had commented on it last night. Sorry, I think I got a cat hair. I commented on it last night. It was a thread that I think it was in Gun World, a Gun World gun group, and they asked what YouTube gun guys that all the viewers listened to or watched. And of course, I think I was the only one that listed I was kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of partial to Legally Armed America, so I put that in there. And of course, some people had some nice things to say, I think, once they went and looked at it. But it kind of amazed me. It was embarrassing to me. I mean, I don't think that we're something that we're not, but at the same time, we work pretty hard, and we've gotten some decent recognition from our friends out there, and even in the gun community, you know, we're fairly well respected. You know, we're accepted into a lot of these circles and stuff like that. Look, nobody mentioned us. No one. It was all either Hickok, Iraq Veteran, Demolition Ranch, some military arms channel, and that's pretty much the main guys. That was the main ones that I saw. You know what I mean? I didn't see a whole lot of other guys that were listed. Those guys, you know, are really, I guess, the big hitters out there. So anyway, I guess I'm crying on your shoulder because I was like, man, we didn't get anybody to mention us. But anyway, I did. I certainly did. I represented. But let's talk about a few things. I've been talking yesterday. I went pretty in depth on our podcast about the whole Kavanaugh hearing. And man, let me tell you that it's very disappointing how this is all going down, man. The Democrats have turned this into such a circus that it's one of those things that look, I'm a conservative. I vote Republican because they typically stand for what I believe in, but I also recognize that the two-party system is a joke, and that the right will typically vote with the left whenever it benefits them, regardless of what we think. So I know they don't represent us. They represent big government. So I get that. And as sad as it is, you really have to go for the lesser of two evils. And I do. That's why I typically will vote Republican. In fact, I've voted Republican. I don't know when the last time was I've voted for a Democrat. So anyway, hey, Jerry. Jerry's here from South Africa. Welcome. Hopefully you're not getting hunted down because of the reports that we hear over here in the United States. Not a good time to be in South Africa right now, I guess. Of course, I guess it depends on what nationality you are or what race you are over there as to whether or not you're safe. I've seen where they're taking people's land over there and threatening to kill the other ones. So good luck if you're a farmer over there. Hopefully you get to hold on to your land. But anyway, welcome to the show. But definitely, I'm embarrassed at the show that we saw in Senate right now. With all this crap going on, Jeff Flake rolled over today. He folded like a cheap lawn chair from Walmart that's been out in the sun for a really long time, that's extremely weak. You know, Dianne Feinstein, in her own polite way, lied. She's been sitting on this thing with this chick that's accusing Kavanaugh of whatever she's accusing. She doesn't remember anything. They expect Kavanaugh to prove that he wasn't at a place that nobody knows where it is because she can't remember where anything took place. How do you prove you weren't somewhere that nobody else can actually identify where it is? Paul, can you prove you weren't somewhere on such and such night? Okay, well, sure. Tell me what place I'm supposed to prove that I wasn't at. Well, we don't know. Well, how do I prove to you I wasn't there? I don't know, but can you prove you weren't there? Well, where was the place? Because I was somewhere that night. Well, we don't know what place it is. You're testifying under oath. So you can't just say, I definitely wasn't anywhere because you were somewhere. Then they bust you on that and you go to jail. My point is, it's ridiculous how it's going down right now. And I hope to God that, look, I hope Kavanaugh is not guilty of anything. I personally don't think that he is. But it's not up to Kavanaugh to prove that he's innocent. First of all, this is not a court of law. Second, it should never be up to anybody in the country of the United States of America to prove allegations that are against you that is serious as what's going on now. If somebody walks in here right now and accuses me of raping them, you don't send me to jail over that. You don't send me to jail over that. And if it's at work, if it's a sexual harassment thing at work, you still don't give me time off just because of that. You got to prove that I was wrong or I'm going to sue you. That's just the way it works. You don't just tell somebody that's what they are and all of a sudden they are. That doesn't work like that. And look, I respect women's rights. Don't give me any of this left-wing crap that conservatives don't respect women. Bull crap. I grew up in a household where my mom ruled the roost. I tell everybody all the time that whenever I was or wasn't going to do something wrong when I was a youngster, I knew where the line was. And I knew when I crossed that line, there were two things that scared me, that kept me from crossing some of those lines. Only two things. It wasn't law enforcement. It wasn't school. It wasn't teachers. It wasn't the principal. I wasn't scared of them. Didn't matter to me. I was so hardened to getting paddled on the butt. It didn't matter to me if a coach or a principal paddled me on the butt. I had a whole lot worse than that from my mom. So whenever I was wondering, all right, is this something stupid that I want to do? I thought about Is it bad enough where I'm going to be judged by God? Am I going to go to hell? And more importantly than that, and some people are going to think that I'm wrong for saying this, that it's more important than God, I was scared to death of my mom. My mom had a belt in her bedroom that nobody ever wore. You did something wrong, my mom made you go to that bedroom, get that belt, bring it to her, and she'd whip your ass. That's what it was. I grew up in a house with a very strong mom. Now, my dad was there too. My dad was very easygoing. My dad was like, whatever. You know, my dad just let stuff go. But my mom ruled the roost. We grew up with a strong respect for women, more than most people did. So don't give me this, oh, you don't respect women. Bull crap. I respect everybody. When I see these little hashtags that say, what is it, I believe women or believe women, if you see a hashtag that says believe women, I give that about as much credit as a hashtag that says Black Lives Matter. Because all lives matter, and you should believe everyone who's telling the truth. Do not tell me that because this person is a certain gender, that now I have to think of them in a certain way. It doesn't work like that. No. How many women do we know of that's been falsely accused? How many times, and I'm going to tell you something, if you go look, there's more times than they were actually wrong. Look at hate crimes. Look at crimes against homosexuals, some black people, just in general, look at those. If you go out and look at the hate crimes that were reported, I'm talking about some as bad as people carving, I don't know, I think somebody carved either a swastika or a homosexual phrase on some guy's forehead or maybe some chick's forehead. I don't know, whatever it was an actual carving. Almost all these cases, they turn around, they find out that there were false accusations, and these people did it to themselves. These people vandalized their own stuff. They write their own signs. They spray paint stuff on their own homes. And then they call the cops for a hate crime. And then they get busted because they're the ones that set it all up, made a false accusation against somebody else. So if we didn't make people have to actually prove or provide evidence whenever they're, I'm not talking about 30-something-year-old evidence that they can't remember anything. Oh, I remember something happened, but I don't remember any of the details. No, it doesn't work like that. Give me some meat. You got to tell me what's going on here. Our system doesn't work like that. Now, I fear that it's going to start working like that because that's how the Democrats are pushing it in this. Again, with that whole believe women movement. No, I'm sorry. I don't subscribe to that. Again, I give it about as much credibility as the Black Lives Matter. I like the hashtag All Lives Matter, which includes black people. I like the hashtag that says believe all people, which includes women. You don't pick genders to decide who's more believable. Kavanaugh is getting screwed over in this deal. You know, I got to be honest with you. I watched everything. I watched everything that happened. I watched the Dana Carvey looking chick, Dr. Ford. I watched her. I watched her statement and everything. And I got to tell you, man, look, she was believable. She was very believable. I sat there and I watched that and I was like, holy crap. You know, she may not be able to remember anything. I can get sucked into the emotion of it, you know. I'm like, she may not be able to remember anything, but good Lord, she seems like she's, you know, really believable. Then they started getting more into her story. Then she started kind of getting exposed to not really, nothing lined up. Nothing like, they kept asking her questions that she would contradict herself. I was shocked, honestly, guys, when her attorneys clearly coached her to drag out the whole flying out to Washington, D.C. by telling her, say you're afraid of flying. And then very easily, it's not like it took much investigating, the little prosecutor lady that was talking on behalf of the Republicans totally blew her story out of the water. It was like, well, you flew to Hawaii, you flew out here to Maryland a while back, you fly all the time. Why all of a sudden you're scared of flying? So that went out the window. If that were anybody else that blatantly lied about something like that more recently, like right now, within the last week, if it were a conservative, they would have torn them apart. But this chick can lie, and they're like, we can excuse that. You can excuse it based on what grounds? Why are you allowing that lie to be okay? She lied for a reason. The only reason why Democrats could be okay with her lying about that is if they had a hand in her lying, or they were accepting it because it played into what they were trying to do. It made everything last longer. which means the Democrats probably coached her into that. So it may not have been her attorneys after all. It was probably Dianne Feinstein and some of those others that coached her into saying, hey, say you're afraid of flying, because they won't make you fly if you say you're afraid to fly. And they didn't. But she got busted in that lie. Look, man, I don't know what did or didn't happen to Ford. But the one thing that made the most sense to me, or didn't make the most sense to me, made the least amount of sense to me, was listening to her testimony. And she said that when the actions took place, that she was walking up this narrow flight of stairs. There was only one flight of stairs going to the second floor of this home where she was allegedly attacked by Kavanaugh and Mike Judge, or Judge something. I said Mike Judge. Isn't that the Beavis and Butthead guy? But the Judge guy and Kavanaugh, that they were going up the stairs behind her. First of all, why was one of the only females in the home going upstairs with two guys, and she was leading the way? Yes, she said she had to go to the bathroom, and there was no bathroom on the ground floor. Yeah, okay, you can't remember where it happened, so we can't confirm that. How many two-story houses have you ever been in that did not have a bathroom on the first floor? Come on, guys, really? Come on. Unless it was a camp. Even the camps have bathrooms on the ground floor. So she's lying, but we can't confirm that. We can't say, no, you're lying, there was a bathroom on the ground floor, because she can't remember where it happened. But she does remember that there was no bathroom on the ground floor. Maybe we should do a search of all homes in the United States that don't have a bathroom on the ground floor, because that would probably be pretty easy to find. Because I can guarantee you every single two-story house I've ever been in my life had at least one bathroom on the ground floor. Every single one of them. Every one of them. There's no way you're going to convince me that there was no bathroom on the ground floor. What was it, a tree house? You know what I mean? So this chick's going up the stairs, leading the way. Again, nobody's got her hand dragging her up the stairs. Nobody is forcing her up the stairs. She's leading the way. And I guarantee you, whenever she got into the near the bedroom area, she says that first she lied about it and said Kavanaugh pushed her in. Well, she's showing that she was judgmental, because later on she corrected that and said she didn't remember who pushed her in. Okay, well, you were emphatic about it before. You said it was Kavanaugh before. Now you say you don't remember. So you knew it was Kavanaugh that pushed you into the door, and now you don't remember if it was Kavanaugh. Well, do you really remember who might have been on top of you, if anybody at all was on top of you? And what were you doing leading the way up the stairs? And why were you going into a bedroom? Now, I can tell you the attorneys are the ones that told her, make sure you say somebody pushed you into that bedroom, because she's already looking like she's guilty by leading the way up the stairs. If she led the way into the bedroom, it's going to be kind of hard to say it was Kavanaugh or the Judge guy, right? So, oh yeah, include in there that you're pushed in there. That's why, man, the story doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense to me. I know people who have been sexually abused, and they remember what clothes they were wearing that day. They remember what time it was. They remember what time of the day it was. They remember what season it was. They remember what was on TV that night that they were watching. This chick can't even remember where it was. I promise you, if you look at every single legitimate person, maybe not somebody who was sexually abused or molested when they were 2 or 3, but if you're 15 years old, like she says she was, I promise you, I'm serious, I'm not trying to exaggerate here, I will bet you that every single 15-year-old that has been sexually assaulted in any kind of way, whether it's a molestation or a rape or anything, I will guarantee you they know exactly where it happened. They know exactly where it happened. And every time they've driven by that place, they've had that same gut feeling of sickness. There's no way. I don't care. This lady's a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I don't remember exactly what she is. She should know how the mind works. She should know that's not a believable lie. In 90% of cases, and I've read this before, 90% of cases, people that are sexually abused remember every detail. Only about 10% block out some of the details, like as a mental block to try to forget it. Only about 10% do that. So I guess she's part of that 10% that blocked all the key details out. But where it happened? No, that's not a detail you block out. Maybe you block out I don't know what day of the week it was or something like that, because that's where it happened is ingrained in your mind. It's ingrained in your mind. There's no way you forget what the location was. I don't believe it. And look, again, I know people who've been sexually abused, and I fully support them. I know it's tough for them to come out. But come on, man. If we allow this kind of lynching to take place on a man who may not be guilty, and if he's guilty, I want everything to happen to him that should happen to him. I have no sympathy for anybody that abuses and takes advantage of somebody else. I've never done that. I've never taken advantage or abused anybody or tried to overpower anybody in my life. Never have. So if he's got something coming to him, Kavanaugh does, I hope it happens. Now, enough about the Kavanaugh stuff specifically on that, because you've always seen that, and I know you're probably getting tired of it just like I am. But look, I went through this last night on the podcast, and I want to share this with you guys also. Why Kavanaugh is important to us. First of all, do not fall for, excuse me one second. Do not fall for the whole Kavanaugh's going to undo Roe versus Wade, abortion. Okay, it's not possible. It's not possible. That's not how the Supreme Court works. You don't get a new justice and he walks in first day of work and goes, all right, guys, time to undo Roe versus Wade. There has to be a lawsuit that gets brought to the Supreme Court, and it's got a long road ahead of it before it actually gets there. And that's if the Supreme Court even chooses to see the case. They don't have to see that case. So it's all bull that Kavanaugh is going to get confirmed and he's going to undo Roe versus Wade. Oh, come on, you can kill all the babies you want until then. Don't worry about it. But Roe versus Wade is a big-time moral issue for people. But people like me, I also have a very strong libertarian side to me. Now, don't mistake that. I'm extremely conservative, but I have very strong libertarian views as well. My thing is, if you want to have to pay the piper, answer to God or whatever deity you think exists, whether it's Buddha or if you're Satanist or whatever, if you want to go down that path and have an abortion and have to face that judgment whenever you die, if you believe in afterlife or anything like that, that's on you. That's totally on you. I'm not going to stand in your way. Now, I don't think it's right. I think it's, you know, it's a way that people are just, it's a typical Democrat ploy that you take no responsibility for your own actions. So you can go out there and have sex and, you know, be a hoe all you want and have no repercussions whatsoever, because guess what? I can kill this thing living inside of me and I can keep on screwing after that. No responsibility whatsoever. Not my problem. Not my problem. I'll just get rid of it. It's not a thing. It's a fetus. It's a living human being. But you have to deal with that. Women out there having abortions does not ever and will never directly affect me. It doesn't affect my life. So having the libertarian side of me, I look at things that do not affect me and don't affect my life and my family as, hey man, whatever. If you want to do it, you have to deal with it. I don't have to. It doesn't change my life. It doesn't change what I do when I wake up in the morning, where I go to work, the fun things I do when I want to have fun. So look, most of the country feels that way. Now, if you put it up to a vote, if you ever make it to where it's voted on, which it never will be, but if you ever made it voted on, that's a different story. I would vote against abortion if I had the opportunity to, just because I think it's wrong. You know, it's a moral obligation thing that I have. And I'm not talking about rape, incest, and all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about women out there that are just hammering it, jumping on, you know, the guys all the time and having all these kids and banging them out, and the 100,000 babies that we're killing, or however many that are killing a year. I mean, it's ridiculous, the numbers that they're putting out there. I mean, why else do you think the Democrats want to open borders? Because they're killing so many minorities out there. They got to get votes somewhere, because they're killing most of them off. They're killing most of the offspring of these urban communities off. They got to get votes, so that's why they need the borders open. If it wasn't for abortion, they wouldn't need the open borders, because they'd have plenty of votes. But they're killing their votes off, so they're trying to get more in. And they're pretty solid votes that they're getting in across the border, because Most Mexicans are conservatives. Sadly enough, they're just too stupid to realize that Democrats are hoodwinking them. So that's the thing where Roe versus Wade is not at risk with Kavanaugh or anybody else that gets in there. Guys, what's really at risk is what they can't talk about. They can talk about abortion because, again, people like me, I hear them talk about abortion. I'm like, that's not a real threat. That doesn't change my life. That's nothing that I feel like I need to go out and print a t-shirt or a sign on and go march. The Second Amendment is what they're really after. They want an anti-Second Amendment person put on the Supreme Court. That's what they're really after. They've always said it. They just can't say it openly. Because if they say it openly, people like me and you, those of us that won't say a whole lot, I'm not calling my senators about abortion. I'm not. I'm just not. I mean, that's not something that, there's not a whole lot of new legislation that pops up over abortion. I've never called a senator or sent an email about abortion. I never have. And I probably never will. But I've sent countless, hundreds of emails and made phone calls to my senators and congresspersons on the Second Amendment. It's because we get active. You and I, we get active. We mobilize ourselves. We march. We make phone calls. We do things to protect our Second Amendment rights. They want somebody in there that's not going to be pro-Second Amendment. Now, you can say what you want. There's people out there. There's people that are conservatives that'll never like anybody. I don't care who you are. I've got some stuff here that I want to share with you about Kavanaugh, why I feel like Kavanaugh needs to be confirmed, and why Kavanaugh is going to be the person we need not only protect the Second Amendment, but more specifically, semi-automatic rifles, AR-15s. He's got a track record on that. That is one of the main reasons. You don't wonder why Dianne Feinstein hates this man so much? Who's at the center of trying to keep Kavanaugh from being confirmed? Dianne Feinstein. She is the person leading it. This is why. Let's see here, guys. Let me find it. Here we go. And I'm pulling this information. I can share the link with you guys if you want, but I'm getting it off of outdoorlife.com. Again, that's outdoorlife.com. Kavanaugh wrote, let's see, let me start one paragraph before that. According to Jacob Sullum, a senior editor at Reason magazine, Kavanaugh's defense of gun owners' rights since his 2006 appointment to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit by Bush has indeed been noteworthy. Kavanaugh wrote the dissent in a 2011 case that followed the 2008 Heller ruling. Listen to this. Sullum writes, Kavanaugh dissented from a 2011 decision in which a 3-judge panel upheld the District of Columbia's ban on so-called assault weapons, AR-15s, and its requirement that all guns be registered. Kavanaugh disagreed with the majority's use of intermediate scrutiny, saying an analysis based on text, history, and tradition is more consistent with the Supreme Court's Second Amendment precedents. In Heller, Kavanaugh wrote, the Supreme Court held that handguns, the vast majority of which today are semi-automatic, are constitutionally protected because they have not traditionally been banned and are in, and this is important, they are in common use by law-abiding citizens. That's important because Scalise made the comment that weapons that were in the Heller decision, Scalise made the comment that weapons that were in common use could not be banned because they were in common use. They were being commonly used. So again, Kavanaugh wrote that they are handguns, semi-automatic handguns, are constitutionally protected because they have not traditionally been banned and are in common use by law-abiding citizens. Continue to write, there is no meaningful or persuasive constitutional distinction between semi-automatic handguns and semi-automatic rifles. Semi-automatic rifles, just like semi-automatic handguns, have not traditionally been banned and are in common use by law-abiding citizens for self-defense, in the home, hunting, and other lawful uses. That's Kavanaugh that wrote that. Kavanaugh. Moreover, and we're continuing with Kavanaugh's words, Moreover, semi-automatic handguns are used in connection with violent crimes far more than semi-automatic rifles are. It follows from Heller's protection of semi-automatic handguns that semi-automatic rifles are also constitutionally protected and that DC's ban on them is unconstitutional. That's what we're fighting for, guys. We're fighting for a guy that believes the way we believe. If these tools that we're talking about, 8 million of them, there's at least 8 million AR-15s out there. If there's 8 million AR-15s, they are in common use. And as I've stated on many of my podcasts and our live streams out there, common use does not mean that I shoot at somebody every day with it. A gun does not have to be used. I'm using this gun right now. You know why? Because if somebody breaks that door down over there, I will put a bullet in their ass. I'm using it for self-protection. I don't have to shoot somebody to use this for self-protection. I can carry it every single day. And by carrying it, I am protecting myself with it without ever having to pull the trigger. So it's in common use. If 8 million AR-15s exist out there, I can promise you one thing, and I know this from this house right here. All those AR-15s are not locked up. They're not in a safe. They're not in a box. They're not in an attic. There are many AR-15s that have a 30-round magazine slammed in them, one in the pipe, ready to go in case something goes bump in the night. Now, that AR-15 may never get used to shoot at somebody, and it may never get used to protect somebody. But you can have that same AR-15 for 50 years in the exact same position with the exact same ammo in it and never fire a round out of it. But you have used it for every second, every minute of every single day of those 50 years to protect your family. Because if somebody broke that door down, you would grab it and you would riddle them full of holes for breaking in your house and trying to do your family harm. You have been using that AR-15 for 50 years. That is key, guys. That is key. That's why Kavanaugh, I feel like we have to really fight for him. I feel like that's why we have to contact our senators and tell them, guys, this is the right guy. I think he's the right guy. Again, some people have said, oh, you know, Kavanaugh, he's not pro-gun. Kavanaugh stuck his neck out on this. Kavanaugh's very pro-gun. And the fact that he worded all this, guys, I'm no lawyer, but I recognize what precedent is in the court system. When you word things like this, whether it's a dissent, like this is his dissent, he did not agree with the ruling. So he wrote his own dissent. That's part of precedent. That's basically, you're setting it up. So if there's another court case, they can use all this wording for things that he set up there. I mean, Kavanaugh is a smart guy. He's clearly not anti-gun, because when he wrote this dissent, it would have been a lot easier for him and probably smarter politically to go along with whatever decision was. But he chose to write a dissent. Here's a few other things I want to mention. Again, I'm getting this off of OutdoorLife.com. Some things that have been said about Kavanaugh. The NRA wrote, President Trump has made another outstanding choice in nominating Brett Kavanaugh for the U.S. Supreme Court. And of course, they go on and talk about how great he is. Ammo Lands Tread Law wrote, Judge Kavanaugh's opening statement began with him making the point that a judge must be independent and must interpret the law, not make the law. It's a very reassuring statement to hear when gun owners' greatest fear is to get another activist judge on the high court, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Let's see. Where's one that I really I thought was good? Here we go. Eric Pratt of Gun Owners of America. Eric wrote, Gun Owners of America is optimistic that Judge Brett Kavanaugh will be a huge improvement over the retiring Justice Anthony Kennedy on many constitutional issues, including the Second Amendment. Initial reports suggest that Judge Kavanaugh deeply respects the Second Amendment, even though he was not the strongest of the finalists. There were other really strong finalists that Trump was going to nominate, and Kavanaugh was not the strongest of those. Doesn't mean he's weak. It means some of the other ones were just stronger. Let's see. Eric Pratt from Gun Owners America goes on to say, initial reports suggest that Judge Kavanaugh deeply respects the I'm sorry, I already said that. Nevertheless, Judge Kavanaugh filed a pro-gun dissent in Heller 2, that's what we just talked about, arguing that Washington, D.C.'s ban on semi-automatic firearms was arbitrary and unlawful. In fact, his dissent was so well argued that the Gun Owners of America's subsequent legal briefs have repeatedly held up his dissent as a model to follow. In another case, Kavanaugh correctly interpreted the Firearm Owners Protection Act to find that a defendant could not be sentenced to 30 years in prison for use of a fully automatic firearm if he was unaware that the gun fired automatically. The laws are so stupid when it comes to guns. How can you convict somebody of shooting or possessing a full auto gun if they don't know that it's fully automatic? Kavanaugh's the one that said that. Kavanaugh also supported the prevailing opinion in the Citizens United case, which affirmed Gun Owners of America's voice in the political arena. Gun Owners of America hopes that the Senate will confirm Kavanaugh. We got big guys behind Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh's the right guy for this job. And I'm not trying to convince y'all. I'm just telling y'all what my thoughts are. Kavanaugh's the right person for the job. You know how sometimes you see the person confirmed and you want to be behind the guy. Like, you hope you don't find any dirt on him that makes you go, oh man, I shouldn't have supported that guy. I haven't found that with Kavanaugh. I haven't found that at all. Everything I've found, I'm like, man, I really like this guy. And I might be a little bit of a gun nerd, but I like digging up all these old decisions and the old dissents like this and seeing what somebody's thoughts were. Because at the time, Kavanaugh didn't know he'd ever be confirmed to the Supreme Court, and he still wrote all this. Kavanaugh's the right guy for the job, folks. I really and truly in my heart, I believe that. All right, and again, I'm getting all that from OutdoorLife.com if you guys want to check it out. That's a good source of gun news. They kind of keep up to date on that, along with AmmoLand. AmmoLand.com, that's my favorite. If I'm looking for up-to-date gun news, in fact, let's see what they got up there today. They're so good about AmmoLand is, and look, I don't get paid by those guys. They're friends of ours, but I don't get paid by them. I'm just telling you, that's where I go. I mean, when I want to talk to you guys on a Friday night, many times I go straight to AmmoLand and say, all right, what's the top stuff that we need to talk about today? Well, it doesn't look like there's much to talk about. It doesn't seem like there's much going on. Yeah, no big news. No, everything looks... It's calm right now because everything's going on with Kavanaugh, the whole BS going on right there. All right, 6:37 is what the time is right now. Let's see. Drinking all the extra, the leftover beer from my house. We get together for a football game or something like that. I will get buddies come over, and they'll leave their beer in my house. And I'm not too ashamed to drink their beer if they leave it. So sometimes I get lucky and I don't have to buy beer for a week or two because they don't drink everything they brought. That's what's happening today. Life is good for me right now. There's nothing like free beer. Free ammo, maybe? That's probably the only thing. Not mixed, of course. Please don't make a poster that I'm promoting drinking and alcohol. Look, guys, I've actually had people... And I'm surprised I hadn't had any lately. I've had people that have emailed me after watching my live stream with you guys, and they see all the guns in the background, which I have some missing over there. I just realized that. But they'll email me and say, how dare you drink beer? You're promoting drinking and shooting guns. Am I shooting guns? I don't shoot guns in this room. In fact, if you want to talk about gun safety, I have 2 red bins on the other side of my room over there, and I may have told y'all this before. 2 plastic red bins that Gallo Technologies, who provides all my panels, provided me, that sit right next to my door. Right next to the door when you walk in here. Those 2 bins are made for, guess what? Ammo. If you walk into this room and you do not have your concealed carry or your open carry on your hip, which you cannot unholster it in this room, but if you have a gun that has live ammo in it, that live ammo goes in those 2 red bins. And when you leave, you can put that back in there or put it in your pocket, whatever you want to do with it. But you cannot have a loaded gun in this room unless it's holstered and on your hip. That's the only way. Not one of these guns in here has ammo in it. Not one. And again, there's no stored ammo in here. There's no boxes of ammo. The only ammo is sitting in magazines in those 2 red bins over there. That's the only ammo that's allowed in here. So yeah, these guys, oh man, you drinking beer, you got guns, that's sending the wrong message. Look, you know what you can do? See this? It's a mouse. Click off my video if it offends you or hurts your feelings, and you don't have to watch it. I don't force people to watch this. Just my friends, like you guys are the ones watching it. I'm not trying to be a smart ass, but it just bothers me when people do stuff like that. I've had people say, of course, I'm about to show you guys this one. I've had people get offended by this. By me pointing a gun at the camera. Oh, don't do that. When you do that, it's scary to me. I don't want to look down your barrel. Dude, are you serious? You're literally watching me on a smartphone or a computer or an iPad, and looking at a barrel scares you? Did you really duck when you saw the muzzle? Come on, man. If you're that unhinged where looking at a video of a barrel facing you scares you, you might not, I don't think you should be owning a gun to begin with. So looking at my video is the least of your worries. You got a real big problem going on right up in here. But yeah, it happens. I mean, it's unbelievable, the emails that I get, guys. It's crazy. It's the craziest stuff in the world. I do want to share some stuff with you guys that's kind of cool. This is something I really, really like. This is one of my new favorites. This is one of our new t-shirts. Lazy is not a skill. Do something today. And on the back of it, of course, it's got our logo at the top, Legally Owned America, and then 2A on the back of it. Again, it's lazy is not a skill. Do something today. These will be available soon. 2avault.com. I need Chad to put them up there. You guys can get some. I'm wearing this one tomorrow. They just came in today, so I'm excited about that. I love all these shirts. This is one of them right here. What's it say? Give Me Liberty or Give Me Another Magazine. It's got a 30-round magazine underneath it. I mean, we got some pretty cool shirts, guys. I mean, I got to get on Chad to get them out on 2avault.com, though, because most of them are not out there right now, and that's our fault. So I need to get those out there. It's kind of hard to sit here and promote you guys. Go and check out our shirts when we don't actually sell the damn things. Let's see. See what that is? That is the Glock 45. That is the unicorn that came out this week. Front slide serrations. Glock finally did it against their own wishes. You know they hated doing that. You know they hated to do that because people have been bitching about Glocks not having front serrations for 15 years. They didn't want to listen to anybody, but I think they realized how much money they could make. They had, and I need to put this one back together again real quick. So I can show you a comparison. This is the 19X. I took these apart last night for photo op. Here's your 19X. Full size frame, 17 frame, 19 slide on top. Full size frame, 17 frame, 19 slide on top. These two guns are essentially the same gun. Essentially, because there are some small things. This, of course, is the MHS, the gun that went to the military, the competition they had where 6-hour P320 won out. This is what Glock actually submitted. You notice they have the lanyard loop right here. Note the Glock extension right here, or the mag extension, I should say. Let's see, the peanut butter color. This is not stock, but there's a fiber optic on it. Oh, they have this wacky little mag thing that sticks out up front that will not allow you to use a standard Glock 17 magazine in this off of a Gen 5 or any other generation, because this thing right here will not let it. Now, simple way to fix that is get you a Dremel and just cut that right off, because then any Glock magazine will work. It's not up in here that it won't work. It's right here that it won't work. This guy right here, on the other hand, has most of the same things that we just looked at, except it's got front slide serrations. They fixed the magazine, but as luck would have it, all magazines won't fit this because this is a little bit different mag well right here. And they have that little piece that sticks out in the front right there. So that keeps from fitting, and actually for sure it won't fit in this one. Won't fit the 19X because of that stupid little lip that the 19X has. Will not allow your magazine to finish seating properly. So you see this little lip right here that the 45 has will not go past this lip. Now, on the flip side, the 19X magazine will work in the 45. So, we'll be doing a full review on this thing. This is actually a pretty cool gun. I do like the serrations on the front. It's nice. I'm not actually a front serration guy. Most of your front serrations a lot of times are for a guy that might be wanting to press check it. Like he wants to see if he's got a round in the chamber, so he's going to pull it back like this, or like this, or like that, or however they're going to do it. Everybody's got their own way of doing it. I'm not a press check kind of guy. I rarely, if ever, press check anything. I know if I have a round in it. And a lot of times it's competition guys. And it's a little bit different with a competition guy because instead of just simply charging it and then going to shoot, you know, a true professional, like say a Max Michel or someone like that, you know, they're going to do that and then they're going to look. Because if for some strange reason, if me and you were shooting a competition, a USPSA, and we go to charge it, and we put it in our holster, and they make ready, and then they go, if we pull the trigger and it does that, we're just going to go up there and do like that. But these professionals in IPSC and the USPSA, that slight bit of time where they do this and then do like that, it could cost them to drop from 1st to 5th or 6th place. Just that split second like that. You and I mean, there's such big gaps. When you go to a normal, you know, club range or club match, there's big gaps in time. So that's not going to cost, it might not even cost you a place. You might stay right where you were, you know. You might still be able to give up another 2 or 3 seconds and still maintain whatever position you're at, 3rd or 4th place or whatever. But those true professional guys, many times that can cost them go from 1st to 4th or 5th, something like that. So those front slide serrations are going to be important for those guys that might eventually use something like this to shoot for competition. Now, a mid-range slide like this is very unlikely that's going to be used for competition. But I do see Glock making their longer slides that are used in competition by putting these front serrations on there so that their guys can actually press check using that. It does make it easier to press check if you like to press check your guns. Does seem like a cool gun. They did flare the mag well just like the Gen 5s. If you notice, they did not flare the mag well on the 19X. But they did flare the mag well on the 45. That's pretty significant. You know, if you're trying to make some fast, you know, mag changes, not having that flared mag well can be a hindrance. But having that flared mag well can get you right in there. Of course, I'm not showing you very good. It does, you know, put it right in there or aim it right in there. It's up to you to finish the job. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to shooting the 45. I've shot the 19X a couple times. 19X is nice, but Glock is something, man. The way they do their stuff, they sold over 100,000 of these. Guys, in all honesty, I don't know 5 people who have bought this gun, including me. I don't know 5 people who, I'm not saying it's a bad gun, but they sold 100,000 of these. Just because it's a Glock. Can you imagine? This is a better gun. You imagine how many they're going to sell of this? They're going to sell a ton of these guns. They'll probably by SHOT Show, they will have sold, because now's the time. Look, Glock sold 100,000 of these during the slow season. Anybody that knows the gun business knows that your summertime, going into hunting season around August, September, is slow time of the year. They sold 100,000 of these with the slow time of year. We're getting into the busy time of year, the holidays, Christmas season, and all that. They're going to sell 200,000 of these probably by the time SHOT Show rolls around. I mean, go figure. Glock, they apparently know what they're doing, right? Let's see, 649. Let me see if I can't scroll here. Guys, you know the drill. If you don't mind, please address your questions to me, Legally Armed America, so I can go straight to them because it highlights it in red or orange. so that I can see it a little bit easier. Let me holler at some of you guys on here that I didn't announce earlier. Let me do some shout outs. Let's see, Robert Hubbard is in here. Z50, Citizen Soldier, good to see you again. Night Days 1000. E.G. John E.G. Smith. Let's see, guys. I see most of you already that I talked about earlier. Yeah, you're still in here. I'm not sure if David Luckett was in here earlier. Good to see you too as well. Okay. Somebody had, I have the 19, John Smith says, I have the 19X, but sounds like the 45 is more versatile. I think it is. You know, just because it's got a couple of more bells and whistles that to me are usable, the flared magwell and the serrations. And personally, guys, I don't have any use for a lanyard loop. I mean, honestly, I don't. I mean, the lanyard loop is not something I will ever use. I know that's military mandated, but with the 45 removing that, I'm okay with that. I got no use for that whatsoever. I'm never going to hook a lanyard up to any of my guns. I'm just not going to. I never have any reason to. Let's see here. Ryan Westall. Hey, how's it going, Ryan? Ryan says, hey, Paul, would you buy a used Rock Island Armory 1911? I would. Look it over really well. The main reason why I say that, look it over, look at the feed ramp, look at the slide, the frame fit, make sure no one has gotten a Dremel after it. And I say that joking but serious. To me, as long as no one has filed or taken any material off of your Rock Island, a used one is going to be fine. But I've seen way too many of them out there where these guys, somebody at work or somebody, a brother-in-law or some idiot that they saw online or on Facebook, tells them how they can polish their feed ramp to make them feed better. So they get a freaking Dremel after it and they start carving metal off of the damn feed ramp. Look at the feed ramp. Crack the gun open. Look at the feed ramp. If you have to take the slide off of it and pull the barrel out, look at the feed ramp. I've seen guys get duped by that. I've seen guys buy used 1911s that looked awesome until you opened it up and some jackass went in there with a Dremel and screwed the whole internals up. That's why they're selling it. It won't feed properly. You know, you got your round that it's hitting like that because they've messed up the feed ramp so bad that now instead of the round coming up and sliding up and going into the chamber, now it's trying to go up and it just does this because they've screwed the feed ramp up so bad. Definitely check the feed ramp on it. That's just my personal opinion on that. Oh, by the way, I just put out my FN 509 video for those of you guys that might be interested. Great gun. I know Mr. FNH had commented earlier, I think on the video, saying that he had one. It's a nice gun. I really like it. John says, I keep my bottle opener attached to the lanyard loop so I can quickly open my beers. There is a use for it, apparently. There is apparently a use for it. That's awesome. Hey, Super Duper Paratrooper. Metal Shelly, good to see you. If you guys have a beer, drink one. All right, guys, hit me with your questions or cool stuff going on. What guns do you have? I don't have anything else to show you guys, to be honest with you, except for my favorite new t-shirt. Lazy is not a skill. Love that shirt. Yeah, I'm looking here. I've got all of my Glocks over here because they just made a kind of comedic video of the whole Glock 45 mess, how it is. It's funny how a lot of the Glock 45 stuff, so many people are pissed off that Glock didn't make a 45 caliber for the 45. I guess it wasn't in the cards for them, you know what I mean? 19 Kilo 35 says, Paul, when is the 40 Smith & Wesson video coming? I've done all my research. I'm through with my research on that, so now it's just a matter of filming it. And it's not going to take me long to film it. I'll probably film it this week, to be honest with you. I'm thinking it'll be sometime this week. It'll take me a little bit to produce it because I try, instead of just me talking and showing the video, a lot of times I try to get other probably not as important facts and include them into my stuff. So I'll put it as on-screen text. So I do have some more things that I have to type in. So production-wise, it'll probably take me 3 or 4 days to put that together. But yeah, the 40 caliber ought to be coming out soon. The 45 is going to be pretty quick. I don't have to do a lot of research on the 45. I think I know pretty much everything I need to know. Probably some dates I'll do some research on. But yeah, the 40 is coming out. You know, in doing my research for the 40 caliber, and I think I touched on this on the 9mm video that I put out, I'm going to do a video that's pretty in-depth on that that Miami shooting that took place, where when the FBI decided that they were going to move from 9mm to 40 caliber. That's a pretty interesting story, and everything you've probably seen and heard is not really accurate. A lot of it is speculation, where it's just not the most accurate information. I think I've figured out what the real facts are, and I'm going to try to include that as best I can. So I'll probably be doing a separate video on that whole shooting that took place. It's pretty remarkable what happened that night or that day. Let's see. Travis H is in here. Travis says, Paul, I love your content. Keep doing what you're doing, man. I appreciate that, Travis. I really do. I mean, that's honestly, I love hanging out with you guys, and I appreciate the positive feedback like that. I don't expect it, but I do appreciate it for sure. Let's see. Matthew Turner says, have you had any time with the Archon Type 2? I don't know if the Type 2 is the gun you're talking about that I know of, but the Type 2, I mean, the Archon that I've had, I think it's the only one they've got, to be honest with you. It's really like it's a Salient Arms Glock is what it pretty much is. I mean, it's not a Glock, but it's, when Salient Arms was out there making all their Glock modifications, it's very much like that. I mean, it is a decked out polymer striker fired gun. It's fine. It's got awesome cuts. Slide looks awesome. The frame looks awesome. The texturing looks awesome. It looks like a badass Glock, but it's not a Glock. It's an Archon. Or Archon, I don't know how you pronounce it. But I've met with those guys. I've talked with them. Again, I don't think I'm big enough for them yet, because I was on their list to receive one of their guns, and I still haven't received one. So I don't know what the deal is there. Maybe they're not ready. Maybe they're not out. I don't know. But I don't know if that's the Type 2 that you're talking about. But my guess is that that's the only gun they have. I mean, it's a new company. I don't think they have any other guns out. So if you're talking about the Archon Type 2, the only time I've had with it is holding it in their booths at all these shows that I go to. So it's sweet. If it runs like it looks, it's going to be an awesome gun. It's a beautiful gun. If you get a chance, Archon, it's Archon. Go check it out. Beautiful gun. When you see it, if you're a striker-fired polymer guy, you'll be like, yep, I want to get on that list. Now, I don't know what the price point is. It's probably going to be pretty high, because there's some work that went into it. They did some cosmetic work in that gun, and it's not going to be cheap. I can almost guarantee that. Richard Portella asked if I like the 357 DIG round. I think you're talking about the SIG round. You have DIG, but I think you mean SIG. No experience with it. None. I've shot it a few times, but nothing enough to say, ooh, I like this or don't like it. I've never compared it with another gun. So I really don't have enough experience to even comment on it. I do hear good things about it. I've heard people say it's the best self-defense round out there. I would say the best self-defense round is whatever round is in whatever gun that I'm carrying whenever I need to carry it. I'm just a firm believer in whatever gun you're carrying, when you need it, that's the best self-defense round, and hit the guy right here. That's just my opinion. I'm not telling you guys that's how it should be or anything like that. That's just how I've always felt. Best self-defense round is the one that I'm shooting at the time when I need it. Let's see. Oh, real quick. I'm not sure. I'm glad I thought of this. I'm not sure what next weekend is going to hold for our Friday night. But we got some cool stuff going on next week, guys. I got to take a swig of beer for this. With 6:59, I'm going to try. We're going to go over, but I'm going to try not to go too far over and waste you guys' time. Next Friday, we're getting up early Friday morning. We're driving to Martin, Georgia, which is about a 10.5, 11-hour drive for us from Louisiana. Taking my Jeep. we're going to Iraq Veteran 8888 is having a huge, he does it every year for 6 years now. This is his 6th year, where gun companies go out there and just blow stuff up. We're going out there this year. We're doing some work with another company. We're going to do some video for them, and we're doing some stuff for us where we're going to be doing our own video. And we are staying at, it's kind of cool actually, we're staying at an Airbnb on a lake in Georgia the night before, well, the whole weekend. But the night before the event, we should be there. I don't know if we'll make it at this time. We might. We might. It'd be their time in Georgia, 8 o'clock at night. We might be a little bit late next week, guys, just so you know. But I want to live stream from the lake, from the house on the lake that we're going to be staying at, and kind of talk about some of the things we're going to be doing for the weekend. On top of that, if we have a decent enough signal at the event on Saturday, you guys can tune in at various times on the Saturday. That's next Saturday. Tune in various times, and we may just have a camera rolling, going live the whole time, where you guys can just go see some of the. We talk about cool new stuff coming on. Let me show you. Let me mention this real quick, guys. I want to tell you all the companies that are going to be out there. You guys are going to probably want to see this. Even if we just leave a camera going the whole time where you guys can go out there and watch, you're probably going to want to check this out. And naturally, I don't see anything on their website about it, because I guess it's not totally open to the public. Look, there's a bunch of companies going to be out there. I'm talking about most of the big names that you know about. So we're going to try, we may have a static camera just sitting there, and we may also take that camera and move it around to show you guys different things while we're there also. Obviously, we'll be talking, we'll be shooting stuff. So it ought to be pretty cool, man. It ought to be kind of neat. I'm looking forward to it, so definitely check us out. Stay tuned for what we're going to do. I don't know totally what we have planned for next week, because the drive over is so long, I don't know what time we're going to be rolling in. So our schedule will start on a Friday night, move into Saturday. So we'll do a lot of live streaming from Friday to Saturday, and we'll head home Sunday. So yeah, next week's show will be a whole lot more interesting than what you see right here. It's kind of boring right now. Let's see what you guys have. Shaners79 SRQ says, new subscriber, love the content and these Friday night live streams. I appreciate you, Shaners, hanging out with us, and thank you for saying that. I do appreciate and I recognize when you guys say nice things about what we do here. It means a lot to me. It honestly does. And I'm very appreciative and humbled whenever you guys are nice to us about stuff like that. Thank you very much for that. Let's see. Shark Chucker says, is Kalashnikov USA going to put out AKs, or is this a troll by Russia? Man, Kalashnikov has been talking about this Super AK for 2.5 years. I mean, I went to their booth literally, what is it, this 2018? I think it was 2016. I was in their booth at SHOT Show like, oh, this is awesome. When do we get to shoot it? Oh, it's coming. It's coming. Then last year rolled around. Then this year, I'm like, all right, I'm not biting the hook again. You let me know when you're coming out with this Super AK-47. Dude, if they can finish making this thing and put it out there, it's going to be incredible. Now, Kalashnikov has finally brought a plant stateside now, so they're not having to import everything or export everything. We import them from Russia. That's a big step. So maybe it's just a matter of getting their machining and their tooling and everything right over here so they can manufacture those guns over here. If you remember, Obama got mad and did all kind of stuff to where he outlawed the importation of Segas and stuff like that from Russia. So they created the Kalashnikov stateside so that they could do what they needed to do over here. So it's probably taken them a bit to get going. And of course, you never know what Russians are doing. Their economy is such garbage in Russia that they honestly may not have the money right now to keep Kalashnikov going and do the things they want to do over here. But yeah, I would love to see Kalashnikov put out this. I don't even know what it's called. I call it the Super AK, but it's AK something or something AK, whatever. It's pretty incredible what they're putting out. I've held it and I'm like, I want one of these, and I do want one. Let's see. Hugh Annan says, thanks for asking about my dog last week. He's all good now. That's good to hear, man. I'm glad to hear that. Look, I know we're all close to our pets and stuff like that. It's a big deal. You know what I mean? So I'm glad your dog's doing good. Guys, I am going to roll out of here because, again, I got babysitting duties tonight. I'm perfectly responsible whenever I have my son. I still drink a couple of beers, but I'll be chilling downstairs, and I'll probably get, we did just put out the FN 509 video, so I'll probably be looking at some of those comments and all that as people kind of roll those in. But guys, you know, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I mean, it means a lot to me that you guys do that. It's this is fun to me, and next week is going to be a freaking blast. I'm telling you guys, you better tune in next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. What I'll probably do is on the drive over, we'll probably have Chad. Chad's coming over with me. We'll probably have him put something that is promoting what we're going to do, and maybe some possible times, so that you guys will have an idea. If y'all tune in to, maybe we'll do some probably do some live stream on the way over there, on the drive over. We can do that from the vehicle. So it'll kind of keep you guys in a loop of what's going on. So anyway, hope you can check it out. As always, guys, please go to ProveIt.video. Please, we're about a week. We pushed back the press release and the hard release of ProveIt.video because we're going to Georgia next week, and I didn't want to have to deal with any BS, so we just pushed it back. But please go to ProveIt.video, create your own account. Even if you don't upload videos or pictures, please go through there, comment, and do things like that, and use the site. Tell us what might be wrong with it. One of you guys sent me a really good email with all kind of cool stuff saying, hey, maybe try this and give me your opinion. I appreciate that. We use that kind of data. But we would really like if you uploaded some videos out there, different types of videos, pictures as well. Again, you can do all that kind of stuff. Again, it's ProveIt.video, ProveIt.video. It can be archery, fishing, hunting, shooting, range stuff, bicycling, skateboarding, water skiing, parachuting, whatever you want. If it's outdoor related, we want that content on ProveIt.video. Upload whatever you want. It's free, obviously. Guys, I appreciate you guys hanging out. As always, again, those of you on the podcast, thank you for listening to the podcast, excuse me, the High Capacity Podcast for Legally Owned America. We will catch you guys next week. Thank you very much, and I will see you guys soon from Georgia next week.